All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM, and always streaming the video live to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the website, WSICnews.com. 704-873-1400. That is the phone number if you like to call in. Have something on your mind, something you'd like to talk about, anything and everything, we will go ahead and talk about it. Lots of things going on in the world of sports. Some big news out of the MLB. We have some new records to talk about. Also, we have NFL football tonight. A good Thursday night football game for once. So we have that to look forward to as the Detroit Lions take on the Green Bay Packers. And we still have the playoffs in the MLB, fallout from the Damian Lillard trade, and NASCAR at Talladega. Can't forget about the NHL about to get started, as the Carolina Hurricanes had another preseason game yesterday. They got the win 4-1, beating Florida and looking good in the process. Carolina looks to have a good year this year. They've made the conference finals a few times in the last couple of years, but haven't been able to even get a win. But hopefully this year is a little bit different, as I think if it were me, I would expect for Kochetkov to get a little bit more time as the number one goaltender this year. You just never know what's going to happen with that, and I'm thinking that he could be the guy this year. I don't want to predict that. I'm just saying, look, we've run with Anderson and Ronta for so long now. It's kind of time to move on and find somebody new to be behind the pipes there, in between the pipes. But Carolina winning the preseason game that they just had yesterday, 4-1 over the Florida Panthers. Brady Shea got a goal. Ryan Suzuki got a goal. Matt Bunting and Stefan Noesen, all of those guys scoring goals. They've been on the team. Bunting is new this year, but other than that, all of those guys have been on that team for a while. And I don't think that we really need to be too concerned with the Carolina Hurricanes right now, mostly because of the history that they've had over the past 5 years or so. They've made the playoffs every one of those years, and they look solid in the process. Like I said yesterday, the most important thing for them is going to be those injuries. You cannot get injured the way that they did at the end of the year last year. Otherwise, the same results are going to happen. You're going to be really upset when you see yourself get absolutely demolished late in the playoffs because you have no more healthy star players for your team. But we still got a little bit of time before the start of hockey season, so we're going to table that discussion for a little bit of time. So the MLB season has been pretty interesting this year. We have some new teams that are fighting for supremacy in the American League, that being the Baltimore Orioles as one of the teams, as well as the Texas Rangers, who can clinch a playoff spot today, that being if they get the win. Here's how it shakes out in the playoffs for the American League right now. Texas has a 2.5 game lead over the Houston Astros. And, in terms of the wild card, Houston does hold on to that final spot. But because they beat Seattle's now a 1.5 games behind. So not much time to make up that deficit. Seattle also 4 games back in the division. Can they make a run at it? I don't think so, but never say never, right? So Houston holding on to that final wild card spot. Half game ahead of them is the Toronto Blue Jays, who still aren't technically safe yet. They could still have a collapse. It's not likely, but it is possible. The Baltimore Orioles are 1 win away from 100 wins, but Tampa Bay still right there. For about 2 months now, the gap for the AL East pennant race has been, I'd say, anywhere from 3 to a game and a half, never getting more than 3, never getting more than a game and a half between those two teams. I don't see a reason why that would change here at the end of the year. So I still expect Baltimore to take this division. When we look into the National League, it's the Philadelphia Phillies who have clinched most recently. They walk it off and walk into the postseason. Arizona can clinch. It's a little bit tougher for them to do it. But behind them, the Chicago Cubs and the Miami Marlins are currently tied for the final wild card spot, with the Cincinnati Reds only a game and a half behind. Okay, it's not over yet for the Reds, but it is getting dire. I hope I didn't jinx them. We have some records in the MLB. We have our first ever 40-70 season. The Braves' Ronald Acuna Jr. stole second base last night, bringing his total to 70 steals, and he already had the 40 home runs. He is the first ever player to be in the 30-60 club, and now he's created yet another club, the 40-70 club. And he is the only player in that club. That is history. He stole the bag, held up the base when he stole it. They replaced it immediately. I mean, they were prepared. So he's going to end up either, I wonder if he's going to hold on to that bag or if it's going to end up in Cooperstown in the MLB Hall of Fame. It'd be curious for me to find that out, but I would think that he would keep that and the MLB wouldn't say, yeah, that's our base. We want it. And he holds it up. It looks like a kite or something. It's so big. Like, man, those bases are huge this year. I'm sure that helped with the steal numbers. Not only that, but the only picking off twice rule. It might change. I heard that they're going to implement and test in a different league, in their feeder league, a 1 pick-off maximum. So you get to pick them off, and then if you do it a second time and you don't get them out, it's a balk. So we'll see if that ever gets implemented. But Ronald Acuna Jr., 40-70 club, only player in history to be in that club. We'll be back in a few minutes here on the Scoreboard. Got a lot to go over today, so don't go anywhere. 704-873-1400 if you want to have something to talk about today. We'll take the call. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Conversations that matter.
I gotta tell you, I'm afraid to even think about the next presidential election.
Led by you.
It's a mockery of American politics.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. This Friday, the Steel Wheels are performing at Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius. Come listen to the storytelling abilities of the Steel Wheels through Americana and folk music. Doors open at 7 and the show starts at 8. The Steel Wheels, this Friday, kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Start your engines, racing fans. The Bank of America Roval 400 is back to Charlotte. Sunday, October 8th, starting at 2 p.m. The Bank of America Roval 400 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Get your tickets before it's too late. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. No time to get to the apple picking at Kerrigan Farms? Apple picking ends September 30th. But you have your chance to go pumpkin picking. Starting September 30th, you can experience the pumpkin patch at Kerrigan Farms. Book your experience now at kerriganfarms.com. The All-American Dog Show is this Sunday in Cornelius, 2 until 5 p.m. Bring your furry friends with you. Come find out who has the fluffiest coat and see the cutest puppy in all of Cornelius. And be sure to come by the WSIC tent at the All-American Dog Show happening at Robbins Park in Cornelius this Sunday. For more info, visit cornelius.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, September 30th through November 19th. Jousting nights, mermaids, fairies, dragons, oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. The clouds will begin to roll away here this evening. Mostly clear skies throughout the overnight hours. Low temperature this evening, 56 degrees. As you head into tomorrow morning, it will be foggy, so make sure you're careful if you're out on the roads. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies with your high near 80. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
What if we got rewarded for every good decision?
Dinner. Meal needs a vegetable. Check.
Amazing!
Vegetables cooked with a healthier oil instead of butter?
Fantastic!
Replacing bad fats with healthier fats, like those in canola or vegetable oil, is good for your heart. Take up the challenge for good health, because the you of the future will say,
Fantastic!
Visit heart.org/face the fats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC News, Talk, Now.
We are back here on the scoreboard. WSIC 1059 100.7 FM. Call into the show 704-873-1400. That is our phone number. And also, if you listen to the station a lot and you listen to some of the other shows that go on here, you might know of a different phone number that we have, the 844 Studio 4 number. Well, if that's the number that you know by heart, you can call 844 Studio 4 and you will still be able to get me over here. It works now. It's awesome. We have multiple phone numbers for you to call. So that's 844-788-3464. I want to get into the MLB a little bit more. But before we do that, I want to at least touch on the NFL, because we know how much this show goes by so fast and there's just so much stuff going on that you can miss out on a lot of information. Well, we have a big game tonight, that being the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers in an AFC or NFC North battle. And this is a completely different Packers-Lions game. There's no Aaron Rodgers, and the Lions are good. Those two things are like, what? If you've watched football for the past 10 years, it's like, what are you saying? The Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers and the Lions are good? Yeah, that's what we're dealing with in the NFL this year. But Lions-Packers, we have that tonight. Here is the line for the game. The Detroit Lions are a 2-point favorite right now. As I sneeze. Here in studio, excuse me. Ooh, man. I saved you guys from having your ears blown out, that's for sure. But anyway, the Lions open as a 2-point favorite. I think that's an okay line, but the funny thing about it is The game is in Green Bay. Now, I don't remember the last time Green Bay was underdogs at home to the Lions, but that's what we're dealing with here today. So it's going to be interesting. I would totally think that the Lions are going to win this game just because of, well, not only last year's result when the Lions eliminated the Packers from the playoffs, but also the Lions are just a better team. They're a good team, and it is Jordan Love's first true year. Not saying that he's a rookie because he's been in the league for 3 years already, but it's his first year as a starter. This is going to be a huge atmosphere in Lambeau tonight. So I just don't know if the Packers and Jordan Love are going to be able to, hold that back, all those emotions. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of veterans on that team, but the quarterback, Jordan Love's okay. He hasn't really shown us too much yet. I just wonder how he's going to respond to the atmosphere in Green Bay tonight. Other things to look forward to in the NFL, we have some pretty interesting games this week. Obviously, we've been hearing about the Panthers and their game against the Vikings, both teams 0-3, and it sounds like Bryce Young is tracking to be the starter once again on Sunday. I don't know if that's good or bad. I would hope that they would only put him back out on the field if he's 100% healthy, because at this point with the 0-3 start and the games that you have on the horizon here, you're not really going to be expected to go far. So why not let the kid get healthy? Once he's healthy, get him back in there. Even in the time that he's not healthy, maybe he can learn a little bit from Andy Dalton. But it sounds like Bryce Young is healthy and will be playing on Sunday. He's been a full participant in practice so far this week. We still have a few days where something could happen and he could re-aggravate that ankle. But as of right now, it looks like Bryce Young will be the starting quarterback. Some other things going on in the NFL. This one off the field, and I touched on this either yesterday or a couple of days ago, but Chandler Jones, the defensive end for the Las Vegas Raiders, has been on Twitter quite a bit over the past few days, throwing out allegations, live streaming on Twitter and Instagram, talking about the head coach, Josh McDaniels, and his past and how they had a relationship in the past where he was the Patriots coordinator. And then he started talking about, he started talking about Aaron Hernandez and trying to say something along the fact that McDaniel had something to do with it. I don't know. But a lot of the posts have been deleted. But interestingly enough, I think it's really funny. He deleted most of the tweets, okay? But he also retweeted a video of somebody going through his tweets saying, here are the tweets, the video of the tweets before he deletes them. And then I just don't get it. There's something weird going on here. And I just really hope that he's okay and his mental health is okay, because this is an episode that I don't know if anybody expected to see this. Contract dispute, no contract dispute. This is a situation where, and the NFL's not talking about it. The Raiders aren't talking about it. But somebody over here, Chandler Jones, is struggling a little bit. And I really hope that the NFL is able to, or the NFLPA is able to step in and help him out. He tweeted a DM that he got from the NFLPA saying, hey, we've seen the tweets that you're putting out. We know you might be under a lot of stress right now. Please reach out to so-and-so to talk about this and put the phone number in, and he screenshotted it and posted the phone number with the message too. But I just think it was a little bit weird what was going on today with Chandler Jones. I really hope the best for him because nobody wants to see that. It's a pretty weird situation, and I'm like I said, I'm just hoping that he is okay and that there's no underlying issue here that's causing him to go on these rants. So I want to move on here now. We haven't really given too much time to the NCAA this week and college football. Now, I did talk about the Mel Tucker situation. He has told MSU that he's going to file a wrongful termination suit. I mean, this is going to be a lawsuit mess for the next few weeks. And this is, I guess this is like the appropriate countermeasure to being fired for cause is you then sue for wrongful termination. He's just trying to clear his name. Or he's trying to get the money that he signed for, which was like 9 years, $90 million or something crazy like that. He had $75 million left on that contract, but they fire him for cause and he's not going to be able to get that money. So the lawsuit just trying to say that he was fired unfairly. I think he's just trying to get that money. So we'll see. Maybe there's a settlement that's reached and the situation will be behind us. And then there's going to be football to cover up the story. Well, not cover up as in like cover up the story, but football just trumping the news of Mel Tucker and what was going on at MSU. Looking ahead into the weekend, though, for college football, I want to touch on some things. Tomorrow we have Utah and Oregon State, 10 playing a 19. The biggest game of the weekend happening at noon, USC, Colorado. USC ranked 8th. Colorado fell out of the rankings after they got absolutely torched by Oregon. Kansas taking on number 3 Texas. LSU, Ole Miss. Oregon, Stanford, and one of the biggest ones of the weekend, Notre Dame, the 11 seed, taking on Duke. Yes, Duke. Duke football team is ranked 17th. That game is a 7:30 kickoff. A lot of eyes are going to be on the Duke Notre Dame game. We're heading to a break here. When we return, we have some NASCAR clips, some videos, some audio to play from drivers, and we'll talk a little bit about Talladega, preview the Cup race, preview the truck race. Remember, Xfinity does not go there. They're off this week. Stay tuned. WSIC 105.9, 100.7. This is the Scoreboard. We'll be right back.
Whatever the story,
We have to end our dependence on China.
have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Happening now at Randy Marion Ford in Statesville.
Folks, you know the king of price has always got a deal for you at the Ford store in Statesville. How about 21 model Ford Escapes? These are the SELs. I got all-wheel drive, front-wheel drives. These are starting at $22,880. That's right, $22,880 with over 30 in stock to pick from. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln right here in Statesville, I-77 exit 49B. Come get them while the selection's the best.
RandyMarionFord.com.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. The clouds will begin to roll away here this evening. Mostly clear skies throughout the overnight hours. Low temperature this evening, 56 degrees. As you head into tomorrow morning, it will be foggy, so make sure you're careful if you're out on the roads. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies with your high near 80. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
It's back, and it's better than ever. The WSIC Community Yard Sale. Sell your stuff October 28th as we bring back the legendary Community Yard Sale. Visit WSICnews.com/yard sale. Get your spot today.
Older adults and those with chronic health conditions can build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in their mobility through the Statesville Family YMCA's Moving for Better Balance program. This is a 12-week virtual program that takes place Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 10 a.m. starting October 10th and running through January 11th. For more details, visit ymcanwnc.org.
Quality Car Care is your local Toyota specialist and a licensed NC inspection station. Plus, find a huge selection of quality pre-owned cars at QualityCarCareStatesville.com or call 704-871-2535.
We have heard
wars and rumors of wars.
We have read
beasts coming out of the water.
Is this real?
What does it mean?
Is Jesus really coming?
What is going to happen before he comes?
Prophecies were told to point the way.
To prove how real scriptures are.
We have to know the symbols to unlock
the meaning of what's going on in our day.
To prove Jesus is real today.
Come to Victory Lane.
A journey to understand prophecy in the book of Revelation with John Onhart.
A 10-night seminar starting this Friday, September 29th, going through October 7th.
Everyone is encouraged to attend this Friday at 7 p.m.
at 2429 East Broad Street, Statesville, at the Statesville SDA Church.
For more information, call 704-500-9000.
That's 704-500-9000. Everyone needs to know the truth.
The Panthers return home Sunday to take on a Vikings team that is also looking for its first win of the season. I'm Sharon Thorson with a Panther update after this.
As the official ticket marketplace of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of tickets available for every game. Whether you're cheering on the Panthers at home or away, Ticketmaster has you covered. With Ticketmaster's interactive seat map, you'll get a 360-degree preview of your seat so you can make sure you have the best view of those pivotal plays. Plus, the Ticketmaster app makes it easy to sell or transfer tickets if your plans change, and mobile tickets make getting in on game day a breeze. Find tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Panthers.
The Panthers are still looking for their first win of this season following last week's loss at Seattle. And while 0-3 is not the start they expected, Coach Frank Reich says they've got an 0-0 mentality heading into the Vikings game.
You know, we talk about being urgent and intentional. And, you know, so that's kind of methodical. It's one play at a time. It's hit the reset button. You know, we're urgent. We're not desperate. You know, you don't want to get into desperate mode. So, listen, is this, you know, if people start talking, you know, when you're 0-3, people start talking about must win. I mean, to us, every game is a must-win game. Like, it's not a desperation because we know our process, we know our players, we know we're giving everything to the moment, and we know we're also the team is continuing to grow and build.
Now Reich and the Panthers will face a Vikings team that is also searching for its first win. Their 3 losses came by a combined 13 points, though, and Reich says the Vikings are a dangerous team.
They got good players. You know, their offense is explosive, you know, with what they do in the passing game, you know, defensively with Coach Flores and what they're doing with blitz pressures. You know, it's kind of a feast and famine deal. So it's a dangerous team. It'll be a good matchup. We're looking forward to it.
I'm Sharon Thorson on the Panthers Radio Network, presented by Morris Jenkins.
Have your say.
Trusting the government to fix anything is a joke.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
All right, we are back here on the scoreboard. WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM, 704-873-1400. Did you hear the news today out of NASCAR? We have some news to talk about. And it's good news. It's actually, for once, NASCAR is doing good things. So we talked about a couple of weeks ago I think last week actually, NASCAR announced when they go to the spring race at Bristol, they will not do it on the dirt. It will go back to 2 concrete races, and the entire NASCAR community rejoiced. Well, guess what? Indianapolis Motor Speedway is returning to the oval layout for NASCAR in the 2024 season. And once again, NASCAR fans rejoice. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a horrible race, the road course at Indy this year, but we had one caution early in the race, and that was it. There was some good strategy, and I think that has to do with NASCAR taking away the stage breaks in the road course races, which I'm still angry that they added the stage breaks back to the Roval race this year. That's absolutely horrifying. But I think it was just more entertaining for NASCAR to go around the Indy Oval. You go to Indianapolis in a stock car and you want to drive the road course? I didn't think it made sense personally. But I think everybody should be pretty happy about that. If there's anybody out there who was more of a fan of the road course than the oval track, I'd like to know, and I'd like to know why. Because, yeah, the tires at the oval track can be a little weird. We had that year where everybody was blowing a tire every 10 laps, which was bad, don't get me wrong. But it's also put on some great races, some great finishes. I don't see why we wouldn't want to go to the oval. And that was not the only piece of news out of NASCAR today. There was another piece of news out of NASCAR. The NASCAR All-Star Race will return to North Wilkesboro Speedway in the 2024 season. Yes, they're going back. They did not repave it for one race, and that's it. But guess what? They are going to repave it again. So apparently there was a $4 million grant given to the owners of the track. That way they can up the scenery a little, I guess, make it a little bit nicer, maybe some more concessions. I'm not sure, but a majority of that is going towards repaving the track again. Like I said, not sure why they want to repave it again, but that's what's going to happen. So at least NASCAR is going back to North Wilkesboro. I wonder when they're going to put this on the actual schedule rather than having it be an exhibition all-star race. I think the rightful place for it should be on the regular season calendar. And then maybe we can bring the all-star race back to Charlotte right before the 600. I mean, what was the problem with that? I remember a few years ago when NASCAR first decided to go to this Gen 7 car, the next gen car, and there was going to be a big change in the package. They had an all-star race at Charlotte that drove like a super speedway, like what they did to Atlanta, except without changing the track. That's how Charlotte was driving. I don't know why they ever got rid of that package because it was a great all-star race. But hopefully NASCAR comes back to Charlotte because it was the better all-star race. Texas, failure. Bristol, massive failure. I mean, the underglow on the cars was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. But North Wilkesboro works. It's nice. It's a good idea. A little bit of history there, obviously. But I still think the rightful place is on the schedule with a points-paying race. Maybe in the playoffs? Maybe if they want to change it up a little bit, the final race of the regular season? Although I don't think Daytona is going to get knocked off of that throne anytime soon. It's one of the most entertaining races. It's one of the highest rated races. And there's good reason for that. This year in the final Daytona race, we saw a car barrel roll 4 times in the air before hitting the ground again. So North Wilkesboro back for the 2024 season. Kyle Larson was the winner of the All-Star race last year. Well, this year. So that's your news out of NASCAR. Other news that we've seen here, like I talked about the other day, Stuart Haas Racing, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, they are going heavy on this marketing for the Talladega Nights cars, which I think is awesome. One of the best paint schemes to ever come out of NASCAR. And when you think about some of the better paint schemes in NASCAR, like a lot of them aren't these generic paint schemes. Like what, I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, but like a Kyle Larson paint scheme or Denny Hamlin's paint scheme, like those are generic. Some of the best ones were the outlandish ones. I mean, remember the BK cars, the Burger King cars? Man, those were some awesome paint schemes. We talked about Kurt Busch when he drove the Me car at Talladega. So this is the second time we're having a Talladega Nights reference at a Talladega race. There's just some good things that happen with paint schemes. I don't like the generic ones, but there's some good ones out there. I mean, some of the most memorable ones are out there, right? You got the Rainbow Warrior. That was a good one. I guess one of the most recognizable would be that Black 3 car. I'm not going to say anything bad about that paint scheme. I know better. But there's some really good ones throughout the years. And I think we're going to see two of the best paint schemes out of NASCAR's history out on the track there on Sunday when we go to Talladega. So like I said, Talladega, the second race of the playoffs in this round, the round of 12. William Byron won the race last week, so he was able to punch his ticket. He was the one that tamed Texas. Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and the car who crashed out, Kyle Busch, all on the outside looking in. I thought that was Bubba's race on Sunday. I really did. It would have been a shock to a lot of people if Bubba would have won at Texas and advanced his way to the round of 8 with a win. But now he's going to have to fight, and he's won at Talladega before. Granted, it was a rain-shortened race, but, you know, all these guys here that are on the outside looking in. Ryan Blaney is a great restrictor plate driver. Kyle Busch is a pretty decent one. Doesn't have the wins to show it, but he is a good restrictor plate driver. And Tyler Reddick, young, but he's pretty good at those types of tracks. So we'll see what happens there. Kyle Larson, after his woes at Texas and wrecking out late in the race, still sitting 2 points to the good. Then you have Brad Keselowski, one of the RFK guys, 8 points ahead. He's also the betting favorite. At 11-2, Brad Keselowski, still the betting favorite for the race on Sunday. One segment to go here today on this wonderful Thursday. Remember, you got football on tonight, so what can you be sad about? Stay tuned to the Scoreboard with me, your host, Joe Berg, here on WSIC. We will be back in a few minutes to wrap up the show, get you ready for Thursday Night Football. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this.
If you have an upcoming event, let WSIC spread the word. Go to WSICnews.com and click on the Community Calendar button. WSIC, proud to be part of your community.
Here's your WSIC Community Calendar. This Friday, the Steel Wheels are performing at Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius. Come listen to the storytelling abilities of the Steel Wheels through Americana and folk music. Doors open at 7 and the show starts at 8. The Steel Wheels, this Friday, canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Start your engines, racing fans. The Bank of America Roval 400 is back to Charlotte. Sunday, October 8th, starting at 2 p.m. The Bank of America Roval 400 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Get your tickets before it's too late. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. No time to get to the apple picking at Kerrigan Farms? Apple picking ends September 30th. but you have your chance to go pumpkin picking. Starting September 30th, you can experience the pumpkin patch at Kerrigan Farms. Book your experience now at kerriganfarms.com. The All-American Dog Show is this Sunday in Cornelius, 2 until 5 p.m. Bring your furry friends with you. Come find out who has the fluffiest coat and see the cutest puppy in all of Cornelius. And be sure to come by the WSIC tent at the All-American Dog Show happening at Robbins Park in Cornelius this Sunday. For more info, visit cornelius.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back. Saturdays and Sundays, September 30th through November 19th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. The clouds will begin to roll away here this evening. Mostly clear skies throughout the overnight hours. Low temperature this evening, 56 degrees. As you head into tomorrow morning, it will be foggy, so make sure you're careful if you're out on the roads. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies with your high near 80. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
Special purchase at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. How about a Chevrolet 22 model Silverado pickup? These are the regular cab long bed work trucks. These are ready to go today. I've got over 30 in stock starting at $23,990. Miles on these things are a deal. 8,000 miles up to the mid-teens. That's right, 22 model Silverado trucks, 8,000 miles starting at $23,990. Come check them out today. Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville.
Thought-provoking conversations and informed perspectives.
It's meant for everyday people to understand, and you don't have to stress about technical terms and stuff. They just say it like a real person.
WSIC News Talk Now.
All right, final segment here today on the Scoreboard. WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. One more bit of news for you today. We can't go off air without mentioning this because it's worth mentioning. So in the last few years, spring football has become all the craze. I'm sure everybody in the spring was glued to their TV watching football after the Super Bowl. I know I was. But big news, the XFL and the USFL announced a plan to merge. The two leagues will be combined into one league, and I think that this is the best decision that those two leagues could have made. Think about it. You have two football leagues competing with each other for spring football supremacy. Why? The NFL owns the fall and the winter. Why would two leagues fight out owning the spring? Why not just combine it and have more teams, more centralized games, easier to keep track of? I mean, you could turn on the TV one day and see an XFL game, and the next day it's USFL. So I think the merger is going to be good for both of them and for spring football in general. It didn't get the most traction, in my opinion. It wasn't something that was being talked about in the mainstream vernacular of sports. You know, spring is more of a baseball time. You have the end of basketball, the end of hockey, baseball beginning, all that kind of stuff. But football was trying to stay relevant. And the XFL, I mean, there are XFL players that have signed in the NFL. I have a list here of some players who have signed here recently. Ben DiNucci was a XFL player. If anybody remembers him, Cowboy legend. Well, maybe not legend. Hakeem Butler for the Steelers. Kevin Atkins with the Giants, Bryce Thompson. So there's some names of people here that have come out of the XFL and maybe not been extreme impact players, but they are able to move from one league to another. The next thing that I'm wondering for these spring football leagues is now that they've combined and they're going to be united in one solid group, how long until the NFL decides to partner with this league, this new league, and say, look, you are going to be our feeder league. You still have the same system as you have now with the NFL draft and drafting college players, but you can also have a secondary draft with the XFL or if they keep the USFL name. I don't know which name they're going to keep. But I'm trying to see, and the NFL could do what the MLB does with their feeder leagues, test out new rules there. And I know it was reported that the NFL was already kind of doing this, but with them being under your umbrella, if you decide to take that step, you can do a lot more of changing of the rules and seeing what works, and maybe you change the clock. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I'm sure that this is now going to be a real consideration for the NFL. And I was listening to something the other day, and the NFL did not shy away from moving a team to London or creating a team that would be based out of London. I don't know how the logistics on that would work. It seems like it wouldn't. But we do have 4 weeks in a row here coming up in the NFL where we're going to have games in London. 2 Jaguars games. I mean, the Jaguars are going to be there this week. So the Jaguars take on the Falcons, and then next week they take on the Bills. So I wonder if Jacksonville is going to just stay in London for a couple of weeks. I don't know why they would decide to leave and come back to the States if they just have to go back out there for their next game. This could be the NFL testing the waters. And the travel, it's going to be an issue if they decide to do this. Now, I'm wondering if they would create a system where it would be like, okay, yeah, the team is in London, but you're going to play 3 home games, then you'll play 3 away games, then you play 3 home games, 3 away, to kind of eliminate as much of the back and forth between, or over the ocean, I guess, between 2 continents as much as possible. I think that would be the way they'd have to do it. And if anybody else has any ideas on how the NFL would be able to implement a team overseas in London, let me know. I just think that it's going to be hard with travel and, players' families, things like that. I mean, the only way, like I said, is if you have 3 games at home, 3 games away, and switch it up. Maybe 2 and 2 if you don't want to do 3. But you can't do, all right, you're going to have a home game, then you're going to have 2 away games, then you're going to have a home game, away game, home game. You can't do that. You can do that when everybody's based in the U.S. You can do that with teams in your division because they're supposed to be relatively close. I know there's a lot of divisions where you're like, wait a second, what in the world are you talking about? The Dallas Cowboys are in the NFC East? That doesn't make sense to me. Indianapolis in the AFC South? What? But you can do it when you're close to each other. But I don't know what's going to happen here. I'd love to see it. I think it would be great. I think it'd be awesome and different, and it might not work, but for a couple of years, it would be quite the conversation. Does the NFL work in London? Do we want to have a team based out there? What happens when the London team wins the Super Bowl? Is there going to be outrage? I'm just throwing out some ideas because these are things that are being talked about in the landscape of the NFL, the MLB, now that there's the merger between the XFL and the USFL. Here's a story that came across a little bit ago while we were live. The MLB drew the highest attendance since 2017. More than 70 million fans will attend Major League games for the first time in 6 years. There's a lot of things that are going to contribute to that. You have the new rules, but I think one of the other things that's pushed this is the fanfare that they're trying to do. And I know it's one little thing, but the Field of Dreams game was probably one of the smartest things that the MLB ever did. And I'm still waiting for a Sandlot game. I think that would be even better because, I don't know, the Sandlot's a better movie, but you know, I didn't say that. Don't be mad at me. I didn't say it. I'm just waiting for the Sandlot game. But the MLB draws its highest attendance, in-person attendance, since 2017, the highest in 6 years. The pitch clock, the bigger bases, the less pickoff moves. I mean, remember a few years ago when you could pick off as many times as you'd want, and the fans would just boo and boo and boo? You can't do that anymore. Saves a little bit of time. The average game this year was under 3 hours. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because a football game is a little over 3 hours. The problem isn't the length of the game. The problem is the action and 3.5 hour games ending 1-0 with 4 hits total. But now with the pitch clock, with the pickoffs, with the no shift, there's a lot more going on out on the field. There's movement. There's players running around. Steals are happening now. It's entertaining again. So maybe we change some things to try and, stretch the games out a little bit longer. Because I was wondering this, if you're an owner and the games used to be 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now they're 2 hours and 49 minutes. We're just using rough numbers here. They're missing out on 30 minutes of sales of beer and food. Sales that they use to pay their players. And they like cut you off after the 7th inning or whatever. I don't know if it's every stadium has its own rule, but if the games are faster, you're getting cut off a little faster. I don't know if that's something that the owners are going to take into account in the offseason here. But one thing that these rules did was bring fans back to the ballpark. And that's what they wanted to do. Thank you for tuning into the Scoreboard. As always, it was a great day today. Make sure you check out Lions-Packers tonight. Should be a wonderful game. And tomorrow, we'll talk about it. And we'll also preview everything we got going on this weekend. So we'll talk tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone. This is the Scoreboard on WSIC. We'll see you tomorrow.